I were you guys, I'd go get some popcorn. This is gonna take a while. So, the OPPO Hot 2 here. Portable DAC amp, USB DAC amp. Beautiful, love it. Was given this one as a gift. God bless everybody on the earth. And I was happy. And then as I started getting borrowed headphones, people said, hey, I got this DAC amp. I'm going to include it. Because, you know, you take a look. And this one, and this one. And then all these have just showed up. And now it is time to sit and anally color code my thoughts. That's why the markers are out. Isn't that pretty? It's like 5th grade in here all over again. So, what do we talk about first? The Hot 2? Alright. Now this is not the special edition. The special edition is new and out now, if you could find one, because it's hard to find one. And it's $300, and it is exactly the same as this, only with the better DAC inside of it. So I don't know what that means. If someone wants to send me the special edition, or the second edition, or just the SE, and I will compare it against the non-SE, and we'll see what's going on. Things I've bullet pointed for the Hot 2. Soft switch, which is when you switch from high to low, it will mute and then bring it back up. This is the only one of the group that does that. So I think all of these have high-low switching. Again, I sat down with these every time they arrived, and then I sat down with them 3 days ago, and then I got sick. So this is a discovery for you and I at the same time. Still getting over that. So, soft switch. The size, as you can see, is manageable. Isn't that nice? Compared to, like, Disco the Pioneer, which is the biggest of the group. So, I mean, yeah, that way it's hard to, just a little bit now, but the fuck, it's thick. Fucking thick. Some guys like it thick, so there you go. So the Hot 2 has the size going for it still. Has line in and out, which I'll go over everything that all these have. And I'm gonna, in the description, there'll be a time code stamp, because this is probably gonna be 40 minutes long. Estimated time for this video. So there'll be links in the description that'll jump you to every one of these if you want to look at them and not watch the entire thing. But that would be a disservice to yourself. No distortion. Now the reason no distortion is written there is because on some of these, when you push it to high and you push it up, there is distortion. You could push it too far. So no distortion, even on high, even at full. And then they listed as bass boost, because this has a bass boost. I think 3 of these have a bass boost and 3 of them have none. None, none, none. And this one, and this one all have a bass boost. The 2 headphones that I did my final list check on, I should have said, were the T50 Mark IIIs, my pair. The stock T50 Mark IIIs with the pad change and the head thing and the wire, and my HE600s. I figured that's a good way to go because these are fucking hard. Still fucking hard to power. Regardless of anything you've got. I mean, 5 watts per channel, yes, you finally get to hear Mark IIIs. And the 600s are like the normal hard to drive. Like, you don't have to, you could say, yeah, you got these, well, you got an extra amp because you're going to need it. My phone doesn't power these very fucking well. So, the 2 categories here on the side are 600s and how well they power them between 1 to 10, and Mark IIIs and how well it powers them between 1 to 10. Now, this powers the 600s to 11. Those things, you can put this on high, put it up, and it's like, oh, this is way too loud. Beyond what's needed in any situation. So it gets an 11. Mark IIIs, however, this only gets an 8. So high power, full tilt, it's audible, you hear it, it's clear. But on quiet songs, where the actual song is a well-recorded, quiet, symphony or something, you can't keep pushing it till that's correct volume. So that's an 8. There's a couple here that get 8s. That gets a 7. We'll get to that one. So yes, certainly this will push Mark IIIs on the go better than your phone will or a portable device on its own will, but still an 8. We'll move on now. We'll move on. Okay. Should I go down or over? Let's go over. Let's go right to the Creative. So someone sent me the Creative E5. look at the build on this. Well, it's the worst built of the group. Plastic with a metal strip here, and then this is all rubber, which is actually nice. I like the fact that this is all rubber. Oh, I should probably go over this. Nah. Go watch my review of that if you want to know about that. Dual headphone outs, which do absolutely nothing differently. They're just dual headphone outs. You get this recessed volume switch, which is a click, click, spin, spin. However, this is a fully rotating, never-ending digital knob. And let me tell you something, that is annoying. You get power or Bluetooth. This is the only one that has Bluetooth built in of all of these, which is interesting. Bass boost, which they call SBX, high-low gain switch, battery indicators. You got a line, mic, or optical in. So this is the only one with a microphone input. Of course, Creative makes sound cards, and they don't have no fucking idea how to do anything but that. Then you got a line or optical out, USB host, which is a full-size USB, and then the little baby USB, which can be used and uses as a DAC or charge it. And then nothing on this side. This is the worst sounding of the group. And I know it's like, well, of course it's the worst sounding. You know, I didn't want to take, you know, that assumption when I started. I'm like, all right, good. Creative's trying to go for this. They've been making sound cards and things and make audio for years. They must be able to put something out that's going to, you know, compete. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't compete. Sound-wise, I'm talking sound, just pure quality. And I was going over these for weeks and weeks and weeks. And only when I sat down 3 days ago and did every single one of them in a row and made these charts did I actually consider overall sound quality, not just power and separate, you know, just like bump it down to a number. Let's go over the things. Inputs, exclamation point. So Bluetooth, SPDIF, and mic. So this has the most inputs of anything ever. It's a sound card. It's basically a sound card just sitting here. You get dual outputs in case you and your friend want to just pop this on and listen at the bus stop. The mic in is, I wish other things did that, especially desktop things. Looking at you, SMSL, or fucking Own, or anybody. Anybody? Could anybody sell a USB mic DAC? A USB headphone amp and DAC that just happens to have a microphone input? Just happens to have it? I got a little $7 fucking sound card that's that big. You plug it in, it's got headphone out and microphone in, and it's just like, wow, nothing else does this. But I digress. Back to the Sound Blaster. So it's light, it's plastic, it's got fingerprints all over it. I don't like the volume knob. It's just, when you have something that doesn't tell you, like, what's the volume at? I don't know. Just keep spinning it. And it actually, when you have it in the computer, because I was testing on my phone on a couple of them, but then it just got real annoying. And I just went to the computer, USB, and you start turning it, and it's like, is it on? Is it off? I don't even know what's happening. So unplugging, plugging doesn't affect it. It should reset when you unplug and plug. .360 pot, dual outs, distortion, high. You put this from low to high. Low is like, okay, everything's good. You turn the volume up all the way, and it's like, it's a little low. I really wish I had more gain. Distortion channel. The high on this is just fucking extreme. It's like nitrous oxide boosted insanity. And it is not built for that. So I was pushing the Mark IIIs, and right before the Mark III stopped being listenable, like, oh, they're getting to the correct level of volume now, and distortion starts. Oh, God. And then I had it up all the way, full as it goes, on high. And these are just going, and you know how loud they were? Not loud. This gets a 10 for the 600s, so not an 11, just a 10, which is fine. And a 7 for the Mark IIIs, as far as out of 10. This is the worst of the group for powering the Mark IIIs. Does not have the balls. Oh, and the bass boost. Let me tell you about the bass boost, because I wrote a lot here. Like the Hot 2, one of the things I wrote was it's full wide, does encroach on the mid bass. So you put the bass boost on, and you get a little bit more in the bass, and it comes up, and like a vocal track, you'll still know you have it on, in just at the bottom end of vocals. When you put this on, it is a spectrum destroying room effect with echo. It is just vomit. Don't. It feels like you've run it through 9 separate DSPs to try to get this to have every fucking frequency from the bottom to the top. So I wouldn't even call it a bass boost. I'd call it just a weird sound room effect bullshit. Don't bother. Don't bother with that ever. You'd have to have the worst headphones on earth to make the SPX worth trying. Just even trying. This one, by the way, is the cheapest at $190. So, I mean, we got to keep that in mind, I guess, but I ain't got to keep shit in mind. We'll go over the Fostex HP-P1. Now, this is actually the oldest of the group, and it's going to be hard to find if you do want it for some reason. Made in Japan, which is like a thing for me. I'm like, Japan. Oh, I should probably mention power, how they turn on. This is obviously that. That's got a power button, and this has got a that. We'll go over this. Where's the case? There's a cool case involved. No, look for the case. So here is the Fostex's cool case. Because that's the first thing, and I put a question mark on it because is it cool to everybody? I mean, this thing is, this is a, I don't even know. You're supposed to take your phone and put it in through this hole. I don't know. It's like a tactical, so that on Velcros, and you slide this in, and then there's a separator. And you're supposed to do that, and then you're supposed to take, I guess, your phone or whatever you're doing, and then put it in here. I guess an old iPod. This is old enough that it was like the iPod. Let me get to it. It's only iPod, iPad compatible. Only. Despite the cool case, despite being Fostex and still being sold places, this is old. Now look at the connections on it. Line out. Spit if out, a 3-way gain switch, 2 settings for the filter, which USB decoder filter. DC in is a mini, not a micro. DC in is a mini. You get a cool stamped external serial number. Then you have the USB input, which is obviously a full-size USB, which you get like an adapter. And these are not the adapters that it came with, but you'd get an adapter like that. Plug it into your Apple thing. So nowhere on the site is a list Android compatibility. Nowhere on the site is a list PC compatibility. This is just for Apple products. And I was using it to test via the auxiliary jumper. So I was just feeding it from the DAC, actually from the Pioneer's DAC, out to the headphones to test with it. I like the green light. Look at the, I mean, this, when you really get down to it, it's like, this looks old school. This feels old school. It's an odd shape. It's got that curve to it. Actually, that curve almost perfectly fits my phone, which is a sadness because I don't get to test it with my phone. And then if I did, I'd have to do that way. We cry some more. Cry some more, it's going to say. No PC compatibility. USB mini. Cheap knob. The knob actually doesn't feel very good. Now, one of the design things that I should have mentioned like during all of these is you either have ones that have a protected knob like that, or even the Creative, or we're about to get to that one, this one's, or you get ones that stick the fuck out, which is annoying because you're going to end up, it's easy to get to, but it's unprotected. So, oh God, children, high distortion. High distortion. Now that doesn't mean high distortion all the time, but the 3-way gain switch is low, which is your IEMs and stuff, and you know, doesn't quite push it. Medium, which is what I was using for most things, but I wanted the Mark III's a little more. You switch it to high distortion. As soon as you get like to the point where it's like, oh, it's starting to get good, oh, this is the same thing. Again, the Mark III's are an odd, evil pair of headphones. Evil. They are great. Even if this pair is physically broken and just are super hard to drive, it's great for me as a reviewer because that's as hardest pair of headphones as anyone should ever have to drive on the go. So as long as you leave it on medium, and I play with the filters and they make a slight, subtle change in the flavor of the sound, but I wouldn't bother with, you know, filters I usually leave on whatever the default is. Line out, spit if out. you got to use it with a 3.5mm jumper if you want it on anything but an Apple device. And then if you want it on an Apple device, you got to have the giant fucking USB wire. So I couldn't check the DAC in here because I'm not an Apple fanboy. And only Apple fanboys buy Apple things now, so that's how that works. Bass boost, none. No options, right? Powered the 600s to 11s. Powered the Mark IIIs to 10. It did power the to what I would consider as loud as you need to go. But then the distortion came in. Just it will distort. The fact that it will distort at all is why I marked it down there. Price on this, from what I could find, because it's an old unit and it's not sold anymore, $470. So it's probably for this Teac case. I don't understand this Fostex, and it's not like it's an extra. It's a Fostex case. You sit there, baby. You sit there. Pioneer. This, I've been to the site to look at it, and it is marked as a tactical built just murder box. Look at it. Look, you're looking at the texture, the guards, just the square edges, and the back is just slightly recessed behind here, and all the switches are too small to really sometimes you gotta get a screwdriver to move them. No. Oh, go away. That's gonna bing the rest of the day. Those are LED holes there. Alright. Getting the Windows driver for this was a nightmare. Because there are not many of them sold here, and I had to get it from a Japanese website. And I had to figure it out in Japanese how to get the driver for it. So I think I saved it, and I think I'll put it in the description should you own one of these and have never been able to use it on Windows. It has the most buttons and switches of everything here. This is they've gone for it. Pioneer hasn't been in the portable game ever. This was, I think, their first. They stepped out and said, you know what? Let's build something from Mad Max Fury Road. Furiosa could throw this in her fucking truck and just be like, the War Rig would have piles of these and they'd be fine. So the Windows driver is it. Shit knob. I wrote shit knob. And it's not that the knob doesn't turn properly. It's that these guards come up just enough to really fucking prevent you from turning it. And then, so I'll go over the connections so I can continue with that. Here's your USB host. Line or optical in is this one. Headphone number 2 and optical out is that one. So when you plug wire, get over here you bastard, into that one, look how much more accessible the volume knob is. It's, fuck, I know I got fat fingers, but Jesus Christ. Thank God they put rubber around it. I guarantee you they didn't want to, but they had to because you could not adjust the volume otherwise. It would just be a slippery mess. They protected it. They didn't protect it fully. It's not like that or like the Creative or even like the Teac there, but it's just out of reach enough to be like, I want to get to the volume. I want to fucking get to the volume. All right, let's travel around. Oh, by the way, there's the power light. It's just that little white LED, which I respect. Although you're gonna leave this on all the time because you can't tell it's on. These are just bumpers, rubberized bumpers. Tough switches. They are tough switches. I was pulling out my screwdriver out? No. Pulling out my screwdriver to switch them. They're the little one. They're just little tiny ones that go click. Which on a portable device is like, you better not need to switch those switches waiting at the bus. This one switches input, line, iPod, optical, and USB DAC. It's a 4-way switch. This one switches output, headphone output 1, headphone output 2, line output, and optical output. Now, we'll get to the bottom and you'll see, here's your high-low gain, which is a nice little switch, perfectly fine. Here's your line out. Here's your headphone 1 out, which is a miniature balanced So of all of these, this is the only one with miniature balanced, which is the 4-pin there, which separates individual grounds for left and right. You get a charge switch, which when you plug in the micro USB, you could either have it just run off of your thing or charge to it / from it there. So that's another switch. Then we come around to this side, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6 LED array that says FS, which is fuck's sake. But no, 44, 1, 48, 88, 2, 96, 1764, 192. This, oh, by the way, a lot of these will do DSD and DXD, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. So this goes all the way up to 2.8 and 5.6 megabit audio. It'll just indicate it with a little light, and then bit for bit. It says bit. Now, this is locking ring adjustment, I think. LCK ring adjustment. And it goes from normal to narrow in 4 steps. And I was playing with it. I didn't look it up. I didn't want to look it up. I wanted to, if it does something, I wanted to know about it without having to look it up. And it does change the sound. I think these are just filters. It's basically just a filter switch from normal to narrow. And I was playing with it, and there was 1 or 2 tracks where I could tell the difference between all the way from normal to all the way to narrow. But again, that's just an extra 4-way switch to put on this. You've got upsampling, which you could either have through, or you could upsample to 96, or you could upsample to 192. And I was either leaving it on through or 96. I don't know. That shouldn't even be a thing. And then here's more digital filters. You have sharp, slow, and short. And I was leaving it on slow. So are we getting there's options, like fucking endless options on this thing? Good. I'm glad. Let's go back to the thing. Too many switches. It's just too many switches. There's too many options and switches and buttons and knobs. And that shouldn't be, because I'm Zeos and I fucking love that sort of stuff. This is just like, you get confused. Like, well, do I have to? Optical out ruins it. What? Why did I write that? Oh, using the optical out ruins the device because you can no longer you can't use it as a USB DAC on your computer and have headphone and optical out because it's the same jack. So you got to pick one. And then the back has a line out, which is, if you're using this on your desk, here's your USB DAC, here's your headphone out, and then you line out to speakers. Except you have to pick the output with this switch. So you have to pick either the balanced, the unbalanced, the line, or the optical. So you can't have it output to your headphones and output anything else. It's just one thing. The end. Another bullet point here is I put no distortion. So on high, at full, no distortion. However, one of the reasons for that, and one of the reasons the OPPO has it, HD600s pushes to 11, Mark III's pushes to 8. So all this girth, all these knobs and switches and fucking endlessness, exact same score I gave the OPPO. Just not enough for a quiet track to be pushed to absolute loudness on Mark III's. Again, Mark III's are absurd. Don't judge and say, oh, that's a weak headphone amp. Everything else in this room will be pushed perfectly by this. Just not those. Just not those. Or the ZMF equivalents. There's a lot of things that are hard now that I'm thinking about it. Bass boost. All those switches, all of that shit, no bass boost. Not the end of the world. I mean, just, if I had to pick something, if someone broke into that window, which would be tough, and attacked me, this is what I'd pick up and bludgeon them to death with it. So, good attempt there, Pioneer. Just simplify that down. Cost on this, $400. Also, I'm just gonna say it because you're either watching this or you're not watching it. Of the sound quality overall, these two. And I wasn't sure about it till I got to them, and I'm like, I plugged my headphones into the OPPO, did my listen, did my writing, and I just kept listening to music. Like, oh wow, this sounds great. Did the other ones in a row, whatever order I did them in, plugged it into the Pioneer. Oh wow, this is great. So it's got something extra. Something is doing right in these two. Not like these are doing wrong. These just have something extra. $300 and $400. Now, where were we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Teac. The HA-P50. It's probably the simplest of them all. The HA-2 is pretty simple, but this is pretty simple also. I like the case. The metal's nice. These little lines here, those are rubber strips, so you could put it down and it doesn't slide around. That's a good design. I like it. And you get these, like, guards, and they guard the back from hitting the table, and they guard the front from hitting the table. But, sharp edges. They look great, but they're right there. I don't think I could cut myself with it, but that's fucking sharp. That's sharp. It's got 8 sharp edges on it. Granted, if you're a badass, you want nothing but razor blades sticking out of everything you own. So, blue power light. Quality knob. I like the knurling. I like the feel. Yes. Good. No DSPs or bass boost. That's fine. It's simple. Simple's fine. DC in 5 volt is a proprietary wire. Why? Why couldn't it just be shared with the USB mini or micro right there? Why you gotta be different? Why you gotta be different? Teac, why you gotta be different? Also, this wire, look how stiff it is. I don't even. Make sure that gets sent back. You got a switch here that chooses between optical, audio in, which is that. Thank you, phone. Okay, let's wake my phone up. Let's switch away from the camera app. And let's lower the crap out of it until it goes. I don't need 7 hours. I should be done with this in like, what, an hour? Perfect. So you get optical or audio in on the front is one switch. Then USB mini is there. And then USB host with a large OTG cable dump there. Simple. Come to the front. That says phones. In big letters. Phones. And it's far away from the volume knob. Pioneer. So that when you plug it in, it doesn't affect where you're turning the knob. Pioneer. And then you got the optical or audio in. I don't know why you'd run an optical into one of these, really. And then you get your little gain switch right here, high-low. And that's it. We've just explored the Teac. This is $200. So it's $100 less than the HA-2. It's $10 more than that Creative. And it's half the price of the Pioneer. And distortion is only at max. High all the way up distorts. How well does it power everything? Powers the 600s to 11 and powers the Mark IIIs to 9. Not to 10. We only have, what, 2 here that power the Mark IIIs to 10. The Fostex and the XDuoo, which we're getting to. So 9 is respectable. It's a decent price. $200 is a decent price. It's well built. It's got some sharp edges, sure. It's got no DSP for bass boost, fine. Plugged into the computer, ran just perfectly. Didn't need anything, didn't need any drivers. Oh, the non-standard charger, I already talked about that. No bass boost. It's the simplest of the group. It does the least amount of bullshit, and it costs. I'm gonna disregard the Creative and say this is the cheapest because the Creative is just the sound quality's bad. But this still sounds good. It's not that exceptional something that these two have. Perfectly fine. And it's almost big enough to use as like a desktop amp. It really does shine in this little world of ours. Now, the XDuoo. There is a love-hate with this one. It's mostly love. It's mostly love. You see that? It's a fucking 1/4 inch. Now, I'm not one to like say, oh, 1/4 inch obviously sounds better. That is not the case. 1/4 inch has no effect on audio quality. You've got 3 metal contacts, or you've got 3 metal contacts, that's the same shit. What 1/4 inch does is it guarantees if you have an adapter and then put your headphones into this and then fucking yank your headphones as hard as possible, oh my god, this might break and this might break, but that ain't breaking. No goddamn chance. I don't know why I went to a weird accent there, but I approve of 1/4 inch sockets. It'd be even cooler, and you're allowed to steal this idea from me, is if you recess that back, like just the corner was like down, and you could plug it in, and then the adapter would stick up and just be flush. Or even put it down halfway down the unit, and then you could plug in a goddamn giant. Do I have a giant? That's probably got one. Whoa. Where are you? Here are the Lawtons, by the way. And what if you wanted to have like this plugged in? You could literally chop the corner off of one of these and have it so it plugs in there. And then that would be perfect. Oh god, sexy as hell too. Stay here, stick around, Lawtons. So, again, the XDuoo does PCM, DSD, and DXD, all these high formats, which on the go, who fucking cares? If you really can hear the difference in like 5 megabit DXD crazy shit, you're not doing it on the bus. You're not like with the diesel engine and people talking. Who cares? In a desk, in a sealed chamber, maybe that's where you could enjoy your extremely high format. But on the go, it's just like, just make my headphones audible and louder and slightly better. I'm okay with that. Oh, we'll go around. So 1/4 inch headphone output, yes, fucking yes. You get a 3-way input switch. That isn't labeled. It's just 3 dots. It's got a cool screen. So auxiliary in is right, USB in is middle, optical in is left. So you have to read the screen. That's why I only have to put dots. High-low bass, or on-off bass boost, 3-way gain switch, and you could hear, listen, shh. Wait. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Could have sworn I heard relays in there. Through the inputs, you hear the relays click. Portable thing with relays. The volume knob in this, probably one of my favorites. I mean, it sticks out. It's not as recessed as like the Hot 2 there, but the knurling and the size and the smoothness and the click. Yes, this is a yes. This side has nothing but vent holes to the back. Auxiliary in, so if you're doing straight analog jump and just using this as an amplifier, that's where it is. Also auxiliary out, so if you're using it as a DAC, that's your auxiliary out. Makes perfect sense. We'll move to the other side. Digital in. I'm not sure if this is both an optical, yeah, you know what? This is an optical in and a coaxial digital in. So it's a SPDIF input regardless. Great. Charge port. USB micro, like it should be. That's what that fucking wire was for. Here's your USB host. Give me a second. Ignore those. Where did I put you? Come with me. This is strange. Strange. Whereas everything else has, you know, a USB, full size USB. I mean, do they all have, yeah, they all have it, except for this one. It's got USB, but it's like, look at it. You see what's going on there? fucking male. They've recessed the male into the body of the unit. And so you get, here the box, I had to take the box out for this one. So you get these little, like, extension jumpers that then get plugged in to the bottom of the unit. For what reason? Why are you different? I don't understand. I really don't understand. It's the weirdest thing, because I went to plug in the computer and I'm like, I'm gonna get the wire, and what? So I had to take a physical you have to have a USB extension to plug this into a computer. So that's just fucking weird, man. USB extension FU. Knob equals tits. That is, I can't deny the knob on this. The 1/4 inch in the knob. High gain murder. So 3-way gain. And the top gain is just murder. However, 600s are a 10, not an 11. And the Mark IIIs are a 10. So, can't beat that, can you? No labels on input, which doesn't matter. And bass boost. Alright, so you got the bass boost. And so I did the bass boost on the HA-2 and said it was full wide with a little bit of a creep into mid bass. And then I did the bass boost on the Creative, which is a garbage because it's SBX room effect bullshit. The bass boost on this, tasteful, bass only. That's what I wrote. Because it is. You put it on and you don't notice it unless there's bass. You don't notice it in highs. You don't notice it in the mid-range. It doesn't change anything but the very, very lows. So, oh, almost forgot this. Here are the 3 buttons on this side. One is the display, so one will actually, I'll show you what the options for the display are. Well, come on. So you either get the screen, or you hit display. Come on. And now you have that little blue motherfucker there. That is the smallest power light ever. I don't even know where the camera lens is. Can you see that is blue? That little blue dot? So yeah, you either get to pick the screen is on or that's on. So there's an entire button for that. I don't know if that saves you power. Honestly, I don't think it would. Oh, as far as longevity of all of these and how long they last, none of them are under 8 hours. None of them are exceptionally long. So they'll get you through the day. As long as your day is not involved with just blasting headphones for 12 hours, you'll be fine. The SRC is an adjustment that's only for the optical or the coaxial digital input. And then there's a filter choice. And you get to choose between 4. PCM1, PCM2, PCM3, PCM4. And you can look those up in the manual when you buy this. Because this is pretty much for $210. So 200, 210, 300. Again, we're not even talking about the Creative. 400 and nearly 500 because of its vintage Japanese madeness. This is the price order. So the HA-2 sits right in the middle. I didn't want to see it. The HA-2 sits right in the middle, and the HA-2 SE is going to sit right in the middle. Now, the SE doesn't promise more power, I don't believe. It's just an improved DAC chip. So it's still going to only push the Mark IIIs to 8, I assume. This has Mark IIIs and 600s to 10. It's $90 cheaper than this. This is $10 cheaper than this, and it's missing the bass boost, and it's missing, well, the cool screen, and as far as DSD or all that other shit, who cares? I don't really care. This is a monster. I would love to own this just to pull it out and be like, you know what it reminds me of? Let me harken back now that I've been through all of these. This beautiful piece of paper, maybe I'll auction that off. This reminds me of what I had a Sony, or my father had a Sony CD player back in the 90s. And this is what they used to do. They used to have the black and the knurling and the switches and the little red arrows. And it's like trying so fucking hard, so hard, to be the coolest thing ever. And it's nearly there. Sound quality's there. Build is exceptional. It just has a couple stupid fucking quirks that make it annoying to me. The power light is, yes, it's white and it's small and it's completely invisible if you're there. So you just need to work on the aesthetics of it a bit. Take away some of these options and make it 300 and have it compete with the Hot 2. Because at 400, it's a toy for people who need it. And it, again, are you carrying these things around with your phone, is the question. This is obviously the choice if you're going with, you know, I need to put it in my pocket with my phone. It'll make it nice and small-ish. It also ruins rear cameras. But look there. That's it. Compared to like, 1991 cell phone technology. All over again. But these two, so the winner, I don't want to call this a loser. It's not a loser. It's, of the sound quality races, these have something over these two, and this is just an amp as far as I could test it. But for the price, it's $100, it's $90 more or $190 more, and these are still exceptionally good. Now the question between the two of them, the Teac is a little bit smaller, just a little bit smaller. If we count how far the knob sticks out, it's about a ½ inch. Oh, this also has replaceable op amps if you want to pull it apart. I wrote that down. I never got to it. Yeah. For $10 more, I'm going to say get the XDuoo over the Teac. In most situations. This does good. This is simple. This is nice. But I think this is the winner here today. I mean, the Hot 2 is my baby, and you can fucking don't even think about taking it away. Pull my guns out. But this has all the little that quirk. It's a fucking quirk. That whatever the hell that is, but that means you just get to go out and buy USB extensions, which you've never got to do that before. Aren't you excited? Because it almost works. It works on a desk. Look, it looks like a little desk unit. You could reach the volume. Look, reach the volume knob. Perfectly fine. On this, it's sort of like hard. The Hot 2, which people have been using on the desk, you sort of got to lean it over an edge to get to it. I mean, the Fostex would work. Actually, the Fostex is the best for using on a desk. Even the Creative I can't even count because it's the sound quality is worse than I would allow. This is the winner. This is our winner here. It's got too many good things. The 1/4 inch, I love just for longevity's sake. The volume knob is tits. It's got a little screen that's on a slight rake angle so you can see it from behind. It comes with all the wires you'd need. It comes with cock rings. If you don't know, I call these things cock rings, which barely fit around the unit itself. So, I mean, you could do this. I don't know why there's two different colors, and why would you just give me two black ones so that I don't have to have it look like I lost one. So you could do that just to keep it from sliding on your desk. You're not going to put your phone in there. I wouldn't even attempt to put my phone in that. That's too tight. What I did do, however, come here, because I have a bunch of these. Companies have been sending me these now. They're like, hey, you want to review the Hi-Fi Min player or the Creative X1, which is still coming out, which is excellent, by the way. They're both excellent. And I was just doing, you know, a little bit of this. Where are you? Get in there. So I was using this just as an auxiliary boost. Just a headphone out of this into the auxiliary in of this and plugging in. I actually took the Hi-Fi Mins outside, which was interesting to be sitting in public wearing, you know, $3,000 Hi-Fi Min HE-1000s. And just was powering the Hi-Fi Mins just fine. Granted, I wasn't using the DAC in this, which sort of like but you can take it, you could use it as an amp, and then you can come in here and you can buy a USB extension and extend it to your laptop or whatever and use it as your DAC amp. And it's less than a shit stack. And it's not as powerful as a shit stack, but does it need to be, considering it pushed Mark IIIs, which is the hardest ones, to 10? I don't think so. I think it's good. I think it's great. All the sexiness happening here now. Put you on something. Boom. All right, so that's the roundup. It was actually much shorter than I thought it would be, I think. I actually have no idea, I can't see the time. But, put away my markers till the next time, which is when I'm going to review all these players, including this piece of garbage. If you don't know what that is, it's probably better off. But, yeah. Too expensive. No one needs it. Doesn't sound good enough. My baby, pretty damn good. The winner. XDuoo is the winner. And we're done here.